Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the grain market blast. Somehow the weekend has already gone by. Blink and you miss it. It is Monday, the 28th of July, all day. You join myself and the crazy with a capital C. I've been advised to move on from glamorous. You join me with the crazy with capital C, Angie Setzer, where Angie will be providing us a rapid roundup of the latest pricing flows and market moving news in the agricultural markets. But before she does, I'll get the legals out the way. Nothing discussed on this space of session constitute trading or investment advice or infers any kind of endorsement by PIQ, myself, Ryan Paisley, or indeed, I'm going to go back to glamorous. The glamorous with a capital G, Angie Setzer. Whey!
Yay! That's actually funny. Someone on TikTok today was talking about how they were a foster fail with cats, and they were so afraid to get another cat because then they'd be the crazy cat lady or whatever. And I'm like, girl, I've been part of that club since 2006.
OG
Not a
member.
problem. Yes. Just embrace it. It's fine. Like, at least I know I'll never die alone or whatever. It's just surrounded by millions of cats.
Exactly.
So yeah, anyway, happy Monday. You're right. I'm not sure where the weekend went. And there's a lot to be talking about this week. And we're preparing, we're going to be traveling next week, though I don't think it'll interrupt the grain, markets blast at all. It'll just be me, talking to you from, Wisconsin and the central time zone instead of the eastern one. But in any event, happy Monday. Lots to talk about today. It was super easy for me to put together bullet points, which is always a relief, for someone that needs to be talking about something every day. So over the weekend, obviously, we got the EU trade deal, kind of like the Japan trade deal came a little bit out of left field. Go ahead.
I need to jump in here. So it's trade deal with a lowercase t and a lowercase d.
You had to let me finish.
Sorry.
No,
Go on.
Similar to Japan, it is a nice, soft framework, which everyone is immediately, kind of like Ryan, where it's like, okay, trade deal or trade deal. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like you ordered it on Wish or something. Like it's just not necessarily, take it with a grain of salt, right? Like at this point in time, it's a framework. It's a work in progress. It's just, to me, more than anything, it's an agreement that country is not going to retaliate against the U.S. for the tariff that they introduced to them on Liberation Day or whatever, right? Like we talked about it on Friday. We're going to have the tariff threat forever. Like that's the EU. If you don't buy this energy, we're going to go back to the tariffs, yada, 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 and so that's going to go one of two ways as time goes on. Either Trump's going to kind of just quietly abandon, the tariff because it's a pain in the neck, right? And we have other things to focus on. And so let's just work out these trade delays and move on, and kind of just get this put behind us. And to me, like I said, the biggest thing, out of this for me with grains is that, you're just not going to have these countries retaliate in a way, especially like the EU. Like everyone loves to focus on, well, if we don't have China buying grain, yada, 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 okay, or soybeans, well, China was down 1.5 million metric tons, last year or over this past marketing year on their soybean purchases. The EU was up nearly 1 million metric tons, and that's probably going to continue to grow a bit with some of their deforestation regulations that they have coming into play. Right? Yeah, so for us to have the EU kind of put bed, air quotes, you can't see them. But at this point in time to kind of have both parties be like, okay, we're not going to poke each other in the eye in 3 days. I think it's helpful. And to have Japan, same sort of thing. Go ahead.
One thing to add on to this is obviously EU being the EU, nothing is straightforward. So Trump's made the agreement with the EU. Mm-hmm. However, we've already seen this morning both French ministers and German ministers say this is an awful deal.
Yeah, it's a dark day for the European Union. Yeah, exactly. We maybe regret this. Can we join Brexit now? We'd so this is it. And so it'll be interesting. Like again, I say that it'll be interesting to see, but at this point in time, you saw that IMF conversation here a week ago where it's just kind of like these countries are better suited to just take it and move on. And so again, the trade delays or whatever the hell you want to call them, you know what I mean? Our trade deals ordered off from Wish. Are they are what they are. And so I'm not going to sit here, one thing I thought that was interesting right now, which and obviously I have no idea how this works out. But I was one of the naysayers when it came to the phase 1, with China resulting in increased commodity purchases. And, there are still people that are like, oh, well, phase 1 did nothing. Honey, I was on the wrong side of the market in 2020 and can tell you that phase one surely did something, because we did have, basically went from zero corn imports by China to like 28 million metric ton in 1 year. And yes, the market conditions supported it and some of these other things, but it was driven by phase one. And so be really careful that, like a lot of people right now are like, well, this is impossible to see these types of purchases done or whatever. Yeah, be careful. Just let's time play out before we speak about anything with this administration in great confidence and a surety. Okay. So next one, obviously, you've got China. I'm reading the headlines come in with Trump on Russia right now. So like, I'll be able to share those in a second, because that's why I chuckle. But you've got the conversation with China. Everyone going into this one, again, is like, don't expect much. This is really just for an extension, which makes no sense to me, because like, an extension is kind of an email, but okay. I do think there's other things that they're talking about. And again, with this administration, it wouldn't surprise me if they don't love to underpromise and then be like, boom, see what we did. But you really probably aren't going to see any sort of significant trade deal done, which I think Greer said this morning too, or maybe it was Lutnick. I can't keep track. Until they meet Xi and Trump, that is. You're going to let the both of them make the deal if there is one. So we'll see if that's the case, or how that goes. Like I said, no one's really promising much of anything. And we'll see if it has any, influence on, China kind of turning their attention to the U.S. when it comes to buying new crop soybeans. Because I'm getting kind of tired of everyone talking about how China's not buying any new crop soybeans. And they haven't, so it's a point to discuss, but we had this, we were all, in a tizzy last year from August through September, because the bean purchases were well below average pace or whatever. They ended up, picking up, and we actually saw our export book grow throughout the year, even with Brazil producing a record crop. So we'll see what that means. Over into Argentina, like I said, tons to talk about this morning. You had the Argentina tax changes announced over the weekend. A lot of folks had thought that was going to happen, though many were kind of surprised, because Milei doesn't tend to forecast his moves as much as whatever. And so you'd seen Caputo, as finance minister, I think it was, come out on Thursday and say, hey, we're going to make these export tax changes permanent. And so for those of you that are new to the Argentina export tax system, they tend to tax soybeans and soybean products around 33%, give or take. And they tax like corn, wheat, feed grains, other things like that around 10 to 13%. Way back when, there had been a push by the former administration to just kind of offer, because Argentina farmers tend to only sell when they need cash flow, because grain is a hedge against inflation. And so with the currency issues and all these other things that you have in Argentina, they tend to hold product out of the pipeline. And so the former administration would do what they called the soy dollar or the corn dollar. It would provide them basically a bonus, a premium, and it would help to incentivize farmer movement. Milei's come in and he's just reduced the taxes that the farmer has to pay. So instead of 33%, it's like 26% or whatever. Basically equates to, let me find it. I was going to turn it into dollars, but, it's basically equates to like, where did my thing go? There it is. About, $28 a ton on soybeans. So it's a substantial chunk of dollars. There's 30, and then about $5 a ton on corn, which isn't as much. So there's probably going to be a push of farmer selling out of Argentina of whole beans into the market structure here in the short term because of this tax change. It's a big, kind of bonus, but the fact that it's permanent now takes away, kind of what used to be the incentivization of it, right? Like if there's a deadline and you lose 80 cents on July 1st, then you're going to be selling before July 1st. If you're never going to lose that, that 80 cents is yours forever now or whatever. And maybe if you hold off, you get another one, because this government needs revenue. So they need you to be exporting. It'll be interesting just to see, but it wouldn't be the least bit surprising to see a push of farmer selling here, to start this week. Next week will be what I'll be watching more when it comes to Argentina farmer selling and the impact of this tax change, more than anything, but we'll see what happens here in the short term. And like I said, you take away the deadline, you kind of take away the big push of, bushels into the market or into the pipeline or whatever. Aside from that, basically, we'll be watching Putin, and because this came up after you and I had talked, Putin and Trump. Putin did come out and say Trump did come out and say that he doesn't think Putin is serious and that he is disappointed. He's going to reduce the 50-day deadline to 10 or 12 days. We'll see. This will be really interesting just to kind of see how Putin reacts, because 50 days allowed them to do a lot of different things. There was a lot of kind of pushback on the 50-day sort of deal. And so there's still a lot of uncertainty over, are we sanctioning oil secondarily? Like, what are we doing here? And what does the deadline mean? But how does Putin respond to this? Do you see a push for peace, or do you see a negative reaction? We did see more in the way of wheat out of Russia pushing its way into the marketplace here at the end of the week last week. That's part of why our wheat was under pressure. You are seeing some additional farmers selling, some exporters offering bushels into the pipeline that people are paying attention to, but there's still a lot of uncertainty in the whole entire region. And there's a lot of talk too that like Ukraine's wheat crop, is primarily feed wheat at this point, very low quality on the quality scale. So there'll be several things that we'll be watching there. If Trump does, kind of invoke these secondary tariffs on all Russian exports, which I think you'll probably see carve outs for things like fertilizer, grains, whatever. And then it loses its bazaar. You know what I mean? Like, we'll be watching that closely just to kind of see what that means, how Putin reacts, yada, yada, yada. Weather-wise, we have some heat here in the short term. And then, we are supposed to see it cool down. Everyone's focusing on the cool down. There's some heat kind of indicated in the, last part of August forecast, but no one believes it. You've seen conditions stabilize across most of Europe. A few other things out there. So weather is not going to be the bullish catalyst. As a matter of fact, weather continues to be the bearish one. Though, we'll have to watch and see. There's some talk of some big severe storms maybe working their way across the Dakotas and Minnesota, and some other things, but beyond that, giddy up. We had some more export sales announced this morning. Demand remains really, really solid. But no one cares because everyone just keeps acting like their yield, I saw someone this morning that basically alluded to like the more it rains, the higher yields can get. And I'm like, I'm not a smart human, but I know that that's not how that works. Like anywho, we'll see. So happy Monday. Basically, biggest thing we'll be focusing on obviously is going to be what the, response is with China. Yeah, that is what I ask myself every day. But if we get anything done with China or how that works out, that's going to be the big mover. But no, everyone kind of keeps reiterating, don't expect anything, which is so weird to me out of this administration. Like, doesn't that feel suspect to you? Like, maybe it's okay, but I just feel like this administration is always like big on big promises and this is going to be the greatest thing and like blah, blah, blah. And this morning they're all like, yeah, nothing's happening today. Just get over it.
No, absolutely that. I couldn't agree more. It's all very, very bizarre. But Angie, thank you so much for giving us the update as usual, phenomenal update. And well, if no one else learns anything, at least I do.
Me too.
But thank you so much, listeners. Thank you so much as well. We hope you had a great weekend and you're all ready to embrace the week ahead. Whatever you're doing, stay safe, keep it tight, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Much love.
Have a good one, guys.